Welcome to the Chips and Salsa Sports segment. This is your host, Jorge Rafael Ortiz El Alacran. I guess I'm solo. My partners aren't here yet, but I do expect them shortly. Um, we welcome you to the Chips and Salsa show, and we won't have Alice today. Our gracious co-host is out doing some business, and we should have our regular show starting at 6 p.m. Right now, we're on YouTube. We're not on the radio. We'll go on the radio exactly at 6 o'clock, our regular time for the Chips and Salsa show. One thing I wanted to say was congratulations to the Royals. They earned another champagne shower at the Hoffman Stadium. Could you get this one? At the Hoffman Stadium, as the Royals hold off the Blue Jays to return to the World Series with a 4-3 win in Game 6 of the American League Championship Series on Friday in Kansas City. Game 1, Kansas City was 5, Toronto 0. Game 2, Kansas City 6, Toronto was 3. Game 3, Toronto 11, Kansas City 8. So Toronto did pretty good that day. Game 4, Kansas City 14, Toronto, I don't know because they didn't put it down here for me. Game 5, Toronto 7, Kansas City 1. And Game 6, Kansas City 4, Toronto 3. So they won the fifth. Toronto won the third and fifth game. And Kansas City won the other one. So it was a great series. Congratulations to the Royals. They're going to the World Series against the New York Mets at Kansas City at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, and Wednesday they're also going to be at Kansas City at 5 p.m. Let me see. I wanted to. Okay, on the other side, uh, the spectrum, the Mets won. Murphy homers, and the Mets swept the series. Game 1 was New York 4, Chicago 3. Game 2, New York 4, Chicago 1. Game 3, New York 5, Chicago 2. Game 4, New York 8, Chicago 3. Murphy homered for a record 6 consecutive postseason games. So he was doing really good. And Lucas Duda hit a 3-run homer. And this was in the last game. Luca hit a 3-run homer in the first inning, doubled twice, and had count them, 5 RBIs to silence the crowd of 42,227 Chicago fans and quieted them at Wrigley Field. They were hoping for a comeback on Game 4, which never arrived. So, of course, the Mets go to the World Series. The Royals, the Cubs still haven't won a crown since 1908, and I guess they got to wait till next year. Maybe they'll, with their manager Joe Maddon. He had a wild card bunch to surge to the series, but was overmatched by the fantastic New York Mets. So that's that. Um, Now we're going to go to, and the game should be interesting because with 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 playing in New York with the Mets, and my friend Augie would have attested to that. It'll be a good game, the Mets versus the Royals, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about it during our Chips and Salsa show when they get here. Um, okay, college football. The Pac-12 standing. You have the North Conference. Stanford Ford is 4-0. Washington State is 2-1. California's 2-2. Oregon's 2-2. Washington's 1-2, and Oregon State is 0-3. And they're not doing too good. And then the South Conference, Utah has 3 wins. UCLA has 2 wins, 2 losses. Arizona has 2 wins, 2 losses. ASU has 2 wins, 2 losses. So they're doing pretty good. They should move up a little bit. ASU is always good, and Arizona is always good, so they're pretty good in standing. USC, I'm surprised, is at 1-2, so USC needs some climbing to do. And Colorado's 0-3. And I don't know how they did today, but we'll probably report on that later. Now, for the NFL, I'll drink a little water. For the NFL, the American Conference East, New England is 5-0. The New York Jets 4-1. Buffalo's 3-3. Miami's 2-3. So New England Patriots are doing pretty good this year till they meet us. When they meet the Cardinals, we're going to kind of turn their little winning streak around. I'm biased, by the way, and I guess the sportscasters aren't supposed to be biased, but I am. I'm a Cardinals fan all the way. We're going to play Monday, and we're going to play the Ravens, I believe, and it's going to be a good game. We're going to win. Indianapolis is in the South, Indian and the NFL, the American Conference South. Indianapolis is 3-3. Houston is 2-4. Tennessee is 1-4, and Jacksonville is 1-5. They got some climbing to do. In the North, Cincinnati is 6-0, and they are. That's the Cincinnati Bengals, right?
Bengals.
I'm afraid of them. 6-0. Somebody's got to stop them.
Mm-hmm.
Pittsburgh is 4-2. Cleveland is 2-4, and Baltimore is 1-5. In the West, also under the American Conference, Denver is 6-0. Oakland Raiders are 2-3. San Diego's 2-4. I like them. They can stay in that position. Kansas City is 1-5. And now in the National Conference, in the East, Philadelphia is 3-3. New York Giants are 3-3. They're not doing too good this year. Dallas Cowboys is 2-3. People, all my friends that are Dallas fans, I don't know what to say, but we're ahead of you, and you know who I mean. Washington, the Redskins are 2-4. In the South, Carolina's 5-0. We don't watch the Carolina, and Atlanta is 5-1. Tampa Bay is 2-3, and New Orleans Saints are 2-4. They're way down there. Maybe they got some coming up to do. In the North, Green Bay is 6-0. Green Bay Packers. Minnesota Vikings. I hate that team. They're 3-2. Just where they belong. Chicago, the Bears are 2-4. Just where they belong too. So all my family in Chicago, don't know what to tell you. We're just better than you, you know. And Detroit. Yep, Detroit is 1-5. Oh well. Now the West. Dun, 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 dun. Do I hear a drum roll? Dun-dun-dun-dun. Drum roll, please. Arizona Cardinals. Yes, sir, we're 4-2. That's better than about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, about 13, 14, 15 teams. So we got to be good. There's only a couple of teams ahead of us. Seattle. That's my wife's team. When she's not rooting for Arizona, she's rooting for Seattle Seahawks. They're 3-4 for Seattle Seahawks. St. Louis Rams are 2-3, and San Francisco, just where they belong, 2-5. So all I can say is I feel sorry for them. But that's just what they get. Now I want to talk a little bit about the Cardinals. Last spring, Cardinals Patrick Peterson vowed that this season would be a pivot point in his career. Through six games already, he's backed that up on the field. Officials aren't throwing as many flags at his feet, and the receivers aren't catching touchdown passes over his head like last year. Now I'll explain what happened with Peterson last year. Peterson's poor start in the 2014 season was due to poor health. We all know that. And it took some time before he was diagnosed as a diabetic. They didn't know that. Before he was diagnosed as a diabetic, he wondered why he had gained weight and barely had enough energy to make it through practice. It affected his uh, performance on the field, and he gave up 8 touchdown passes. So, I mean, he was doing pretty lousy. This year, he's come back and he's playing a great game. So we're all rooting for Peterson. You know, he's on the field and he deserves all our all our accolades and kudos because I mean he knows that he's on medication now and he's playing a lot better. He knows how to take care of his body now and he's doing much better. And he's a heck of a player this season. And everybody's talking about how much of a change he's done. So congratulations on our Cardinals, Patrick Peterson. You're doing great. Keep it up, and we're all behind you. Now, let's see. Okay. Friday when we play, I mean Monday when we play the Ravens. It should be a good game. The game is let's see, I think it's a 5:30 game, I believe. Yeah. It's a 5:30 game. We should we should okay. That's Ravens, Cardinals. What they're looking for right now is a spark in the running game. So if we get a spark in the running game, we should perform real good. It's 5:30 Monday afternoon. I'll be there. I hope to see some of my fans over there, but I'm usually doing security over there. So, but if I see any of you, I'll wave and I'll say hi. Uh, it should be a good game, and we should win. And we just have to root our team, protect our nests because they're playing in our home field. So this is crunch time for us, and I think then we have a couple of away games. As for New England Patriots, they're doing pretty good. I like to see them lose. Other than that, I was watching the college teams today, and like always, the college teams have a lot of spunk. They play, much better than their much better than the much better than the NFL players because they're younger. They throw themselves on the field more, and kind of wonder if they're not going to get hurt. But that's what young college guys do. They like to just play rough. Um, see how the teams did here. See if I could bring up some of the teams today. There was some interesting games today. Quentin Flowers tops 200 rushing yards as USF beats SMU. Quentin Flowers set the USF record for rushing yards by a quarterback. Oklahoma runs all over Texas Tech in a blowout win. Samji Kareem ran for 201 yards and 4 touchdowns and helped quarterback Baker Mayfield top his old team as number 17. Oklahoma defeated Texas Tech 63-27. Yes, I said that. 63 to 27 was a blowout. Adrian Peterson is downgraded to questionable due to illness. The Minnesota Vikings have downgraded running back Adrian Peterson to questionable for their game Sunday at Detroit due to an illness. So that's Minnesota Vikings. I kind of don't like that team. They just act too rowdy when they come and play us, and those little horns and everything. But we'll win them in there out here. The NFL is going to fund a study on link between concussions and brain damage. The National Football League said Saturday it will help fund new research on the suspected link between sports-related concussions and long-term brain degeneration. Okay, Corey Coleman breaks Baylor touchdown record, does post-game presser shirtless. He did a press conference without a shirt on. Must be a rule against that one. Corey Coleman breaks Baylor TD record and does a post-game press conference shirtless. Imagine that. Must have been a heck of a sight for you girls. Yeah. Okay, looks like Nakanishi is unlikely to play against Texas A&M. And they don't say why, so we're just going to skip that one. U.S. Congressman Carlos Corbello rips the Hurricanes on Twitter following loss to Clemson. It's got to go to Twitter and rip a team. I mean, just it is what it is. They lost to Clemson, so and sometimes some of these people they just unless it's Arizona Cardinals, Now the Minnesota Vikings have downgraded, like I said, running back Adrian Peterson to questionable for their game Sunday at Detroit due to an illness. The Minnesota Vikings have downgraded, which I just said. Okay. Then the Steelers promote dual threat Tyler Murphy to active roster. Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh Steelers, I don't like them either, promoted wide receiver quarterback Tyler Murphy to active roster Saturday, meaning it's likely Ben Roethlisberger won't play Sunday, which is good. But I don't like him anyway because they beat us. NFL to fund a study of concussion, but I told you that. Okay. I hope everybody's having fun. Because this is just a blast. Okay. Let's see. The Mets World Series rotation. Harvey, DeGrom, and Snydergaard and Mets. Matt Harvey will pitch Game 1 of the World Series for New York. Collins is making all the right moves for Mets in postseason. The New York Mets soaked themselves with champagne in a cramped Wrigley Field clubhouse, and then manager Terry Collins stood nearby in a quiet spot, arm around his wife, Deborah. He must not have had champagne all over himself. The players did, but not him. He's a coach. Let's see. The Phillies will hire Matt Klentak to general manager. Let's see here. Okay, the Royals. They built the World Series foundation through shrewd trades. The Royals' tough decision to trade young stars has paid big dividends. And it did because they just whipped the Chicago Cubs a new one. Okay. Let's see. On the race circuit here, let me see. It looks like Earnhardt Jr. Looks like Earnhardt Jr. wishes for deja do-over in father's final win. The late Dale Earnhardt Jr. looks on with his son Dale Earnhardt Jr. as other cars circle the Telegata. How do you pronounce that? Talladega. Talladega. Well, anyway. Talladega.
Talladega.
Huh?
Talladega.
Okay, yeah, that. They circled that that track during practice for the last race. The father won in October 2000. To many race fans, the late Dale Earnhardt was a larger than life character, and nowhere did he come up bigger than at Talladega Super Speedway, where he scored his 76th and final win and final caress NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race victory and the Winston Cup 500 in October 15, 2000. So, let's see. On Friday, Dale Earnhardt Jr. told his side of the story about the race that Earnhardt Jr. was a rookie that year, driving for his father's Dale Earnhardt Incorporated team. The young Earnhardt challenged for the victory before falling back to 14th in the last lap. Earnhardt Jr. was racing with Mike Skinner, his father's teammate at Richard Childish Racing as laps wound down. I was sitting behind Mike Skinner, Earnhardt Jr. said. We were in a single file line. On the inside, Mike was practicing the bottom, whichever that means. And I was going to sit there until the last lap to try to pass him. Then things started to heat up. And I guess he's told his story. I was sitting behind Mike Skinner, Earnhardt Jr. said. We were in a single file line. On the inside, Mike was practicing the bottom. It says, then things started to heat up. Dad's line formed on the outside and it was coming. Earnhardt Jr. said, and I could see him in the mirror knocking off a few guys each corner and getting closer toward the lead. And then I had to decide whether I was going to try to pass Mike and then maybe battle my dad for the lead, which was probably the best thing I could have done. Still, it was tough to decide the right course of action. Was I going to push Mike and try to work apart? Said Earnhardt Jr. Once their line got tires, ours had been kind of stagnant for a while. I think ours would have sort of rejuvenated itself and maybe battled back. And so I knew that pushing Mike Skinner past Dad was not going to work well. There were practical issues to consider that most drivers wouldn't have had to deal with. And it goes on to talk about Earnhardt and his dad's driving, and I think we all miss Earnhardt and Senior, and he was a great driver, and hopefully Earnhardt Jr. will pick up the mantle where his dad left off and make his dad proud of him. So I think it's 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 he's a good racer. He's a good racing team. He forms a good racing team. He's very good, and we all. And here is Augie, my compadre in crime.
Hi, George.
I thought Luke's might be coming in too, but
She's
I've been telling him
on her
about.
way.
Huh?
She's on her way.
Oh, okay. I got her paper here. I was telling everybody talking about Dale Earnhardt, how he's kind of took in his father's in racing. His father's stepped in his father's shoes, and he's doing pretty good. And we were reading an article here about him, and I guess Talladega.
Talladega.
Talladega Nuts.
Talladega. Well, that place. Well, he was talking about when he was racing against his dad, and how he wanted to pass him, but then he said nah. So he just stayed behind and let his dad kind of assume the lead because he didn't want to challenge his dad near the end there. So he's telling a nice story about that. Also, we were talking about. We congratulated the Royals. They earned another champagne shower at Kauffman Stadium, and they won 4-3 in Game 6 of the American League.
Did you go over the stats related to the Royals and the Mets being in the World Series?
No,
Well, the fact that the last time either of them won a World Series, the Royals won in 1985 and the Mets won in 1986. So they actually won in back-to-back years.
1985?
1985 were the Royals, and in 1986 the Mets won a World Series. And then since then,
In 1986, the Mets.
the Mets. And since then, each team has been in the World Series one time, but they both lost. The Royals being last year, and the Mets in that famous Subway Series against the Yankees back in 2000.
I did say I did tell them that the Chicago Cubs haven't won a crown since 1908. And,
yeah, the curse continues.
And the manager Joe Madden's wild card bunch surged to the series, but it was overmatched.
And they haven't won a divisional series game since the Bartman episode, the gentleman that caught the foul ball.
Oh wow!
So that was their last. That was why they didn't win that game. But since then, they haven't actually won a game in the divisional series. So.
How much you want to say that? 3? Okay. I was telling him about Murphy homered for a record 6th consecutive postseason game, and then Lucas Duca hit a 3-run homer in the first inning, doubled twice, and had 5 RBIs to silence the crowd of 42,227 at Wrigley Field, hoping for a they were hoping for a comeback in Game 4. They got beat bad.
Yeah, it wasn't meant to be. Everyone was optimistic that Back to the Future 2 had nailed it on October 21st, 2015. The Cubs won the series, but it ended up being the Mets.
I know,
and it wasn't the series; it was just the divisional series.
Okay, the other thing on the college football, we got Stanford at 4-0 in the North.
Stanford's come out of nowhere after that horrible opening season loss. Utah's playing USC right now.
3-0.
USC's hanging tough, but Utah's a good looking team.
And let's see, then we got that's the NFL. I guess that's just the Pac-12. It's just the North Conference and the South Conference. We got Arizona and ASU tied at 2-2. USC is 1-2. I thought that's kind of low for USC.
Yeah, they've been pretty inconsistent. I think everyone believes it's going to come down to Stanford versus Utah.
So you predict Stanford?
Yeah, the Pac-12 championship will be Stanford versus Utah.
You don't think UCLA will go from 2? They're 2-2.
Yeah,
UCLA,
like they play tough against California on Thursday, but I think that both those teams are. I don't think you're going to win the championship with 2 losses in a season like this.
So we could say your prediction is Stanford versus Utah.
Yes, okay. That is my prediction.
So we're going to leave this program today, and we're on YouTube, by the way. We're not on the regular radio, but we're on YouTube. And we're going to leave with a prediction. Augie predicts that Stanford will play Utah in the finals. So
of the Pac-12.
Huh?
Of the Pac-12.
Of the Pac-12, exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
If we extend it out, I think there's other teams that are better than the Pac-12.
Yeah. Let's hope that you're right. At least one of them comes out. Utah, Stanford. Which one do you like better, Utah or Stanford?
The way Utah's been playing, I'd give them edge, but Stanford, they're both playing well. I'm not going to take that one.
Okay. Okay.
We've got 40 seconds.
On this one?
Before it starts.
Oh, okay. But we're off. And thank you very much for watching the Chips and Salsa Sports Show. Okay. This is what I was going to suggest. I'll go ahead and open it. Do the intros. I wanted to do a story on the Hollywood legend Maureen O'Hara, who dies at the age of 65. I got an article pertaining to that. Then you can open up the second one. And this is maybe.
You guys ready?
Oh, I need that paper that I gave you. That's a Facebook question, right?
I don't know, is it?
Yeah. Well, the Facebook question.
Alright, so what do you want me to talk about?
The question was have you or somebody in your family gone to Mexico?
I can talk about this.
Welcome to the Chips and Salsa Show, your Saturday edition, with your host Jorge and Alacan, and the host of the show, Augie Bert Martin, and
Barney.
Luke's.
One of these days. One of these days, Jorge.
And,
I have faith in you. 2016 has
and,
some
Mark,
promise.
and Luke's will be here.
Yeah, I don't know where Loops
momentarily.
is. You know,
She's on her way.
she sent me a message that she was getting gas. So
Okay,
hopefully-
so I'd like to open the show with some introductions. Luke's will be here in a few minutes. Monica Lara is responsible for our logo that you see back in the back and all around. David Bleasy is responsible for the music you see here in the background. We have the Divine Dion doing social media and Facebook. And we've got Secret Sonia, our producer and Twitter, and now our technical director.
Yeah, she's on double duty tonight.
She's on double duty. Sonia and Dion have special security detail, it says here. So. And it's a man's world, it says. So I guess we're gonna just walk all over this place.
Alice is out of town. Where did Alice go? I don't
I don't know.
I don't
She
think I-
never.
Is this a secret location, or are we gonna have to start calling Alice Secret Alice?
Secret Alice.
Is there multiple secret people here?
Yeah. A birthday shout out to Alice's mama, Maria Carmen Cisneros Laura. Would have been 95 today, and you would have loved her salsa.
That's a great name, Maria Carmen Cineceros Lara.
It is.
That's Alice's mama.
I wanted to speak a little bit about, before we go into our first break, about the Hollywood legend Maureen O'Hara. She dies at the age of 95. A little bit about her. Her manager, Johnny Nicolte, said that she died in her sleep Saturday at in her Boise, Idaho home. And her fiery red hair helped her get dubbed the Queen of Technicolor as she rose to prominence in the 1940s and 50s. She starred in a series of famous movies, including Miracle on 34th Street and 5 films alongside John Wayne. She was never nominated for an Academy Award, but she was awarded an honorary Oscar in 2014 for career achievement. She is the only one of 2 actresses, along with Myrna Lloyd, to receive an Oscar without being nominated for one. Let's see. She was in the film The Hunchback of Notre Dame in 1939, and How Green Was My Valley. I remember that one because I got in trouble in class because I kind of was talking.
Miracle on 34th Street. I feel like that's the most popular.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have you watched that? I might go watch that tonight.
But her role on the Christmas classic Miracle on 34th Street a few years later sent her on to the path to becoming a Hollywood legend. You're right. That's what really propelled her. And I know a lot of people out there remember her of our age and stuff because we've watched The Miracle on 34th Street. Also, she starred on Rio Grande, The Quiet Man, The Wings of an Eagle, and she was in McClintock and Big Jake with John Wayne. She lived a long life. O'Hara did not suffer many medical issues. She had a short-term memory loss. Later in life, in 2012, her family said she was a victim of elder abuse. So I don't know about that. Shortly afterwards, she sold her home in Ireland and moved to live with the family in Idaho. So our condolences out to her family and friends and all the people that saw her movies and stuff. Our Facebook question before we go into a break is going to be, because we're going to talk a little bit about Americans visiting Mexico for the low-cost medical on the border. Do you do you know anybody that's gone across the border for medical treatment because it was cheaper and the high cost of medical out here? I hear it's pretty. It's almost the same kind of medical, but it's cheaper. Have you heard anything about that? I was hoping Loops was here because she could have. I mean,
You know what I mostly hear related to that has to do with the dental.
dental.
And so I've heard a number of people, actually my family included, that has gone to Algodones across the Yuma border, and I've been there with them, and there's just a whole series of dental places there, and they typically get high recommendations. I think especially for dentistry in an older population where they're doing veneers and other kinds of work, which is very costly. They're able to do it there at a fraction of the price.
So it's a. I've never been out there, but I mean, it's. I wonder if it's the same kind of. If you're treated the same way as out here, the rooms are kind of clean and stuff. I would think that they are. I mean,
there it seems that they are. You're not going that deep into the border. I think they are, but I haven't heard so much about other kinds of medical care. Maybe for some surgical procedures, but I haven't heard people going there just for routine checkups or any other kind of medical care.
Okay, looks like we're going to come to an end of this segment, and Augie will bring it in for our next segment, and he's going to be talking a little bit about that, and then we're going to go into a little bit of some other things that we're going to be talking about here. Let's see.
So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
So we'll be right back to the Chips and Salsa show.
Still have 15 seconds.
Oh, I thought you were done.
No.
Oh, we're still. Oh, we'll talk a little bit about. We're gone. I need a tissue. Do you have any tissue?
No.
I thought you gave us the cue.
No, I said please. I gotta make a card. There's no tissue in here. No.
We'll talk a little bit about. Now when Loops comes, I'll just move over and she can take the middle. She can have this one. Okay.
Loops. Does she not? Is she down?
She hasn't sent me anything yet.
I thought you gave us the cue.
And I forgot my phone. I'm going to withdrawals now.
All right. What else do we have?
Okay. Mice and cheese. When I come in, I'll talk about that.
But we got 2 more seconds before that. What else? What other topics?
Okay, Doug Ducey, or the death drugs that were intercepted at Sky Harbor. I have a thing on that. Mice and cheese.
What did you guys talk about last night?
We talked about
what else do we
what did we talk about?
Mice
and cheese.
But we got 2 more.
About Syrian and security and.
You're falling asleep. Allison does a good show. Wow. What did you guys talk about last night?
You see, welfare cuts. I want to talk about the welfare cuts.
Are there any other waters? No.
There's water in the break room.
Like
Yeah, cups.
cups. Are there cups?
The other thing
there's
is
the water
Rubio
thing there.
says Clinton lied about Benghazi.
You guys have about 50 seconds.
Donald Trump about his SNL regarding SNL effort grows. The Latino migrant advocates won't want NBC to cancel his November 7th TV appearance.
What about this Oklahoma State parade that killed 4 people? Did you see that one? The Oklahoma State University parade where 4 people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, some lady when she drove into there.
Yeah.
We're almost ready?
Yeah.
All right. So do you want me to bring it back in?
Yeah. Just go over this.
You have 10 seconds.
Just then Biden's. We talked about Biden yesterday. That he will not run for president.
Welcome back to the Chips and Salsa Show here in the Saturday night edition, October 24, 2015. This is Augie Barney, and we are, I guess, all male so far because Lutz hasn't joined us. I'm here with Jorge Alacran Ortiz.
Hello.
And before we left you, we were talking about Americans visiting Mexico and other Latin American countries for low-cost medical care. So it's come about that apparently a lot of Americans are going to Mexico to seek their health care because costs have gotten too high in the United States. Although I thought everyone now had health insurance under Obamacare. But obviously if this is the trend, then that seems to indicate otherwise. But I do think it's mostly border towns, Nogales, Algodones, some of these other cities just in Sonora that are the most prevalent for the healthcare. And I still think it's dentistry where Americans are really seeking that healthcare. But here's from this article from the Arizona Republic. They are saying that medical tourists spend between $7,000 and $15,000 per medical trip, and that in total, 45 to 95 billion dollars goes to the global GDP of Latin American countries.
Damn, that's a lot.
So yeah, that's a lot of money that
That's per year.
apparently tourists are spending. I would think that's predominantly Americans in Latin American countries. So that's money we're taking away from our own healthcare system.
I don't know if I would. Well, I guess some people find going that distance to save. I don't know how much money they would save. Um, It'd be nice. Does it talk about what the savings are at all? Like a regular.
You know, there was one thing it does mention. They come there not just for price, but also for speed and access. So for prescription drugs, going to Mexico is also pretty popular because it's easy to get and it's typically cheaper than the United States.
They spend between 7,000 and 15.
I guess the question then becomes: is it as effective as the drugs that people can get here?
Well, some people that I've talked to, they say that the drugs they get in Mexico are just as good as what they buy out here. So that's why they go to Mexico to buy the cheaper drugs. So I don't know. Our Facebook question is: do you know someone or somebody in your family or some friend that's gone to Mexico and got cheaper medical or cheaper prescription drugs? It's an interesting question because a lot of people are doing it, as you can see by this article. Um,
Yeah, that's always the question. It's kind of when I fill up my car with gas, I'm always wondering. I'll see one place they'll say 215, and another place will be 250. And I always wonder what is the real difference. Are you getting a more premium gas at a different place? I'm not saying like between regular and premium, but I'm just saying regular at different gas stations will sometimes have a huge price difference. And does that mean that there's different quality? Or is it really the same thing? And
I think it's the same.
You're just more astute by finding the cheaper gas station.
Right, because regular is regular, and I go to Costco and I get it at $1. I think it was $1.84. There was $1.89 in Pilot, and it was $1.91 in Chevron, and I mean it makes a difference if you go to the other ones, and the gas is just about the same, unless you're used to the high performance gas, and then but even that it all depends if you want your car, if you have to put that kind of gas in your car, like Lexuses and Infinities and stuff like that. Some Cadillacs you have to put the higher grade gas in, so it's stuff. We had a Lexus, and we always had to put high grade gasoline in.
Mhm.
And it was just a pain every time we went to the gas station. We were paying 50 cents, 60 cents, $1 more than regular. And I like regular.
So, so at the break we were talking. Well, you were telling me a little bit about death drugs,
Yeah,
and that sounded piqued my interest. Why don't you tell us a little
yeah.
about that?
Death drugs, death drugs have been intercepted at Sky Harbor Airport. Arizona tried to buy unapproved executing excluding or execution drug. The, Arizona tried to buy unapproved execution drugs from India, but the federal government seized the shipment at Sky Harbor Airport. The Arizona Department of Corrections paid more than $27,000 to illegally import from overseas a drug for execution by lethal injection, but federal officials stopped the shipment at the airport. According to heavily redacted documents, the Corrections Department contracted to purchase 1,000 vials of the anesthetic sodium tripental.
1,000 vials?
Yeah,
What are they going to do with 1,000 vials? I mean,
inject.
how many vials does it take to execute someone?
I think it takes one, but I think.
And how many executions have we had? And I mean, that number I think it's just double digits. I don't think we're not over 100.
No,
I mean,
I don't know why
in
they
the
want
history of execution. So what are you going to do with 1,000 vials? Are we planning to increase the number of executions because of this new
I don't
death
know.
drug?
Well, maybe they're going to pass it on.
Are we providing vials for the rest of the country? That just sounds excessive to me. Or are some of the vials are they maybe not potent enough, and so they just throw them away?
They might have two injections.
I have some questions about 1,000 vials.
And although the seller's name and information are blacked out on the documents, an offer to sell the drug to Arizona is virtually identical to an unredacted offer sent to the corrections officials in Nebraska from a pharmaceutical supplier in India. The Nebraska shipment was also stopped by agents from the Food and Drug Administration after it was reported in 2010, the British government and other European countries shut down exports of the drug. The U.S. District Court and U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Washington, D.C. ruled that the imports were illegal, and the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration confiscated supplies of the drug from state correction departments all around the United States. Arizona and other states subsequently switched from pentothal to the barbiturate pentobarbiturate for executions, until the European manufacturers of that drug also forbade its sale for executions. Arizona then switched to a procedure using a Valium-like drug, metazolone.
So what's the moral of the story here?
The moral of the story,
if you can't pronounce the drug and it's really deadly, because I don't know, there's a lot of psychotropic medication that I can't pronounce, so that's probably not true. That most drugs you can't pronounce, but a lot of these.
Well, according to paperwork, the legal discovery, Arizona ordered 1,000 vials of the thiopental at $25 per vial, and a freight cost charge of $1,700 was attached to the $25,000 order. A receipt for $27,500 was wired from the State of Arizona Bank of America account. Arizona Correction Director Charles Ryan asked the FDA and DEA officials to release the shipment and was refused. The FDA has determined that the shipment should not be allowed to move to destinations and thus will not be requesting the CBP lifted detention. According to FDA, this is no approval application for sodium thiopental, and it is illegal to import an unapproved new drug into the United States. So what they're doing is illegal. What they did was illegal. They spent $27,000 of taxpayers' money to order these drugs. They were unapproved, were illegal, and nobody gets accountable.
Well, you know, $27,000, that's just slightly over the cost that it is to house one inmate in in our prisons each year.
Yeah.
You know, an average cost per prisoner is about $24,000 a year. So,
To me, isn't somebody accountable for making a decision like that? That's
I mean,
illegal.
that sounds like a complete waste. Although, so $25 for one vial. I mean, essentially, you could take someone out for $25. is what it sounds like you're sharing here. I mean, obviously it's illegal, but
1,000 vials.
right, $1,000, but they're only $25 each. I mean, you can. I'm just saying that it's. Is that what it was? Were they looking at? Was it more cost effective? Or?
Well, the other drugs weren't working right,
I see.
so they wanted this other drug.
They weren't working right, as in the
They'd go into
procedure.
convulsions and stuff, the person being executed. So,
Wow.
well, we're gonna have to come back.
If we got rid of the death penalty, then we could just.
We're gonna have to come back.
27,000 plus.
So stay tuned for the Chips and Salsa show, and we're gonna take a little break, and we'll come right back.
I'll do your loops.
Oh, she's there.
Good. Is what it sounds like you're sharing. Yes. I mean, obviously it's illegal, but $1,000. You can. I'm just saying that it's. Is that what it was? Were they looking at? Was it more cost effective? Well, the other drugs weren't working right. They weren't working right, as in Well,
is it recording?
No. How do you expect me to do everything? No. How do you expect me to do everything?
You almost ready?
No. You still got a minute and 10 seconds. You have 50 seconds.
How's it going, guys?
It's going. She's here.
You're doing the hot seat?
Yeah.
You are? Cool beans.
Cool beans.
Yeah. You got 30 seconds.
Cool beans.
Okay.
This
is-
That's in the end.
How's it going, guys?
Hey, welcome.
George,
I was
who's
outside.
you bringing in?
I could bring it in, and then
What?
that way, I had loops for you bringing it in.
Okay. Where do you want to go?
10 seconds.
Let's see. Let's talk about what's happening in Mexico.
Okay.
The
Hurricane.
okay.
I don't
I got a
know.
little thing on it, and then you could bring us in, and then I'll start it, and then I'll switch it back to you so you can talk about it. Okay. Okay. Ready?
Cool beans.
Welcome back to the Chips and Salsa show. This is Jorge, and with us we are great hosts just walked in, Loops,
My apologies for being late, guys. Everyone, thank you. Hola, ¿cómo estamos?
and our other host on the show is Augie.
Get your walk on.
On this segment, we'd like to talk about Mexico, the Mexican coast being hit by a fantastic hurricane where tens of thousands seek shelter as 165 miles per hour winds hit the Mexican coast as a category 5. And that's pretty tough. Mexican officials were preparing for a massive humanitarian effort in the storm's wake and plan to distribute nearly 4,000 tons of food to those affected. The Red Cross prepared a temporary shelter in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico on Friday. Arizonans who have family and friends in Mexico worried about their safety. Some were able to phone and text before Hurricane Patricia, that's her name, made landfall Friday evening. And I know you have a lot of family over there, so what do you think, Loops?
I do. As a matter of fact, yesterday we had like a conference call. I called my mother, who is still in Nayarit, and we're looking at about that's about 2 hours away from Puerto Vallarta, and I got a chance to talk to her. There was some rain picking up in that area, but we were kind of worried for her. So here we are, all 4 or 5 of us girls on the phone doing a conference call. However, I do have family in Puerto Vallarta and friends, and I saw a small little footage shot on Facebook by one of my family members that they're evacuating quite a bit of people from there, and it's apparently it already touched down in some of those areas. I don't know what the actual damage that it has taken place. However, this is pretty neat. They text a "I'm safe" or "I'm in a not in a safe zone" um,
Oh yeah, that's become more
reply.
popular.
Yeah, which is really neat.
They put that on Facebook as well
Right,
to let
right.
family and loved ones know they're safe.
Yeah, and so that's pretty neat. So my worry is the other smaller beach areas. It's called Guayabitos, La Peñita. Those are all really great little coastal, like if you go to San Diego, you have Ocean Beach, Sunset Beach, and what have you. So this is kind of the way it is, and those can be very devastating because you have a lot more poverty in those areas. So imagine a catastrophe like that, and it'll wipe down some of the
And a Category 5 is no joke. Doesn't
No.
doesn't get any bigger than Category 5.
They said winds of 165 could topple planes, could move houses. I mean, it's some tough winds.
The thing is that too, we have the two main airports. We have the Puerto Vallarta airport, and then if you bring in inland, of course, more of the inland to a city called the Beach, that's another important airport if it does hit within that vicinity. So I am worried. I do have a lot of family, so we stayed in contact with them, and not just for my family, but I'm sure a lot of other people out there who are not prepared. I mean, who is prepared for a Category 5?
And it's late in the year. This is late for hurricanes.
And see, the thing, it was a tropical storm. Before that, it was a tropical storm, and then all of a sudden, 2 days later, they started saying it's a hurricane, and then they started showing pictures of the eye and the hurricane. I was like, where did it come from? But it was a tropical storm.
You know what? I'm telling you, thank God for technology, to tell you the truth, because if we did not have the means that at least, I mean, what can you do? Can they stop it? No, they can't stop it, but they can at least, make the public aware.
And they boarded up. They were boarding. They had the plywood. They were boarding up a lot of the buildings. They were taping the windows. I know I read somewhere this lady said she had taped the windows, and the stores. I mean, they just went through the stores and got all the water, everything that they were going to need for a few days because they knew that this thing was going to hit. And the people had a little bit of warning. And I think 2 planes took off Friday evening. The last 2 planes took off. Then they closed the airport because the winds were too heavy. And I think they were, like you said, I think they were a little bit more prepared because of the advance warning. Even though they had to move fast, it was,
It actually started picking up a lot faster than they thought, because you sometimes think, oh, they're wrong, the weather and all that other stuff, and in general, I mean, that really helped because that I have a couple of family who were saying, you know what, no, we had to just kind of get up and go. So where do you go from there when you've got the what do you call it, the tailgating of the vehicles? It's like you can only go so far because it's a one way, it's a 2-lane road. It's a one way. You can't go really.
They were saying it was just bumper to bumper.
And that's scary.
So what they do? They just move to higher ground and stuff?
Not necessarily. I mean, the reason it being, because it's close to the beaches, so they would have to get out and go further out inland to get out of the danger. And Puerto Vallarta was hit on something like that. I'm trying to think of the date somewhere. I don't know if it was late 80s, early 90s, and they were recovering from that when it hit in Cancun. Part of the Puerto Vallarta was that whole frontal area was all new. I got a chance to see that when I was there a couple of months ago, and there was a traditional, they call it an arco. It's kind of like a big arch in Greece, with the big old poles, and that's all that stands there. It's pretty neat. So they try to make another one, a replica of it, and the other one kind of still stands. But that was part of another huge hurricane that had come through part of it, but not as massive as the one that's there.
And Puerto Vallarta has become a very popular destination for Americans. I've been fortunate to go down there several times.
It's fun. It's actually, you know what? It's got a great. It's picking up in tourism. It's got a great little areas to rent out little places to live at for a month or two, and very inexpensive. So imagine if this is happening, boy, for them to pick up financially from catastrophe like this, it's just like starting over for a lot of them. So I feel.
What about small houses? Because I can picture like small villages or houses that are built not sturdy.
Well, to tell you the truth, they're sturdy. The only thing that's going to fly away are the little little building facilities that are like that, like or maybe Topologs or the restaurants that have all that the facilities. But in general, I mean, much of the construction is solid concrete. That's not going anywhere. Maybe the rooftop or what have you, but.
But there's some areas that still have kind of the huts. Like if you go to Yelapa, I think in the northern part, that you'll find.
Is it near the water?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of because the bay, Puerto Vallarta has that nice bay that's sort of like a crescent.
Pues le vamos a mandar un saludo en español a todos los que están ahorita en este momento experimentando difícil situación con este huracán. Nuestros sentimientos, bendiciones están aquí en nuestra parte de aquí de los amigos aquí en Chips and Salsa con Aggie, George y conmigo bendice a nuestros familiares y amigos que están en esa situación. Lord, bless them. And
we'll take a short break and we'll be right back and listening to the Chips and Salsa show.
No.
Yep.
Okay. Wow, I just that whole thing that I'm unsafe kind of thing. That's a pretty cool text that they started. I've just been getting them like bombarded from those, from the family, and it's something that you don't want to think about it.
Okay, we're going into the third, the fourth one. Okay, I'll bring.
Are you doing mac and cheese or mice and cheese?
Yeah, mice and cheese.
Well, and a shout out. Tomorrow is my daughter's. I called her today because I'm thinking I have no doing. Yeah, today she did. Mom, it's tomorrow. I said, okay, I'll redo the whole thing again tomorrow. Send her las mañanitas with Vicente Fernandez and.
We're talk about mice and cheese.
I'm
doing, honey. I just been like working.
Yeah, you
working, and yesterday
that
I was off.
You're 12 blocks from me at all times. You never say hi.
Is that where you live in that area?
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to
12 blocks away.
I'm gonna have to crash in your house.
I'm down there.
When I'm like.
I'm down there all the time.
So where do you live now?
I live in my sister still, but I'm working
you do?
downtown. Yeah.
Oh.
I gotta wait. I gotta give it another 2 months.
This works out better?
Yeah, things are better.
Now that you're not working with it?
Yeah.
Working play don't always mix.
I felt like it was vacation.
Working family don't always mix. So vacation time over?
No, yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't know what day is today, and I'm calling my daughter for her birthday. She said, "Mom, it's tomorrow."
Oh crap!
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I'll redo it over again tomorrow.
So what?
She's 25. She'll be 25 tomorrow.
I heard you went and you had a spa. They gave you a spa.
Yes, I want to introduce to you guys this great place to go.
It's in
Maybe we'll have
Oh,
them come up
you
and
posted about this, right?
yeah, maybe we'll have them. We'll have the gentleman. He's, matter of fact, he's Latino, and he's up in New York now,
Okay.
doing like a presentation or show and for hairstyle and what have
It's
you.
pretty good.
Yeah, and the
Is it
staff
inside
is
the
great.
hotel?
No, it's about a block and a half away off of Second and Washington, right with the Collier Center by the
What's it
Bank
called?
of America. It's called Monty Perry Monty Salon. Mhm.
So what'd you get
Yeah.
done?
I had well, not money. I had a free haircut. I had a free haircut, and I had a hand massage.
Ooh, hand massage.
30 seconds.
I'm not sure. I can't
30
see your hand
Yeah.
massage.
So you can't see it, but
I want a hand massage.
yeah.
Wait, how come when I say it,
Okay. With that,
we only have one mariachi tonight,
one mariachi
Oh no.
sitting in.
with a pito.
Oh Jesus. Let's see.
Okay.
Like you can't even hear. I don't hear anything, so you just tell us when to go.
Welcome back to the Chips and Salsa Show. This is Jorge, El Alacrán with Loops,
Hola, ¿cómo estamos? Saludos.
and our always host.
Hola, todavía estoy aquí.
Okay. I wanted to speak about mice.
Nice.
Mice.
What's
Mice
going
and
on?
trees. Why? A question. Why do we bait mouse traps and rat traps with cheese? It seems you execute a rat that was either very, very hungry, very, very dumb, or very, very un-rat-like. The fact is, there's no evidence that mice and rats have any special fondness for cheese. Mice and rats are not especially picky eaters. That's one reason why they're so good at surviving and multiplying, I guess. You could have just easily lured your prey to the trap with a piece of bacon. So next time, try a blob of peanut butter or chocolate. That's my thought for today.
So your thought for the day is that
is great.
mice,
So wait, how do you
Are
know if it's a
rewarding.
Mexican mice?
Mexican mice.
A ver, ¿cómo se va a llamar if it was a Mexican mice?
Is-
You
is-
remember that? You remember
is
who
this
was
a
that?
joke?
Speedy Gonzalez?
What
Do you remember who Speedy Gonzalez was?
I remember Speedy Gonzalez,
He
yeah.
was a little rat, a little mouse.
A Mexican mouse?
Yeah.
He was super fast.
He was
So
super fast.
does he fit one of the characteristics that George said?
Well, no, he used to take the cheese and-
He used to just take the cheese and
But he was so fast, so
And
he was
he was
actually
a-
not dumb.
and he was vámonos.
Vámonos. Arriba, arriba.
Arriba, arriba.
That's where they got that. Arriba, arriba, arriba. Okay.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Well, we have a thing in the news about dump Trump from SNL, Saturday Night Live. The effort's grown. A campaign to dump Trump from hosting Saturday Night Live next month is gaining some steam. The network announced last week that Trump, the Republican frontrunner, will host a long-standing comedy show on November the 7th. Since then, there has been mounting pressure from some Latino and immigrant advocates for NBC to cancel Trump's appearance. An online petition created by America's Voice and the left-leaning MoveOn.org calling on NBC to drop Trump from hosting Saturday Night Live has received nearly 140,000 signatures.
You know, it's funny how we can talk from one rat to the other. Go ahead. That's good, huh?
Yeah, the rat is still in the lead.
I know. Well, we could
To
just
give
switch
him-
it from one rat to the other.
He's like Speedy Gonzalez.
To give him the role of host essentially validates his position and gives him a platform to continue his attacks on Latinos and immigrants, said Juan Escalante, director of digital campaigns for America's Voice, an immigrant advocacy group based in Washington, D.C. Janet Murguía, president and CEO of the National Council of La Raza, the nation's largest Latino civil rights group, called the decision to have Trump host the show, a slap in the face to millions of Hispanic viewers. U.S. Representative Luis Gutierrez, Democrat of Illinois, from the House floor, called on NBC to receive Trump to rescind Trump's invitation to host Saturday Night Live. He said to put Donald Trump on the air in American living rooms on the signature comedy show of one of the most important national networks after saying that Mexicans are rapists, drug dealers, and criminals, that is a corporate blunder too big to be ignored, said Gutierrez, a longtime advocate for immigrants. NBC said it will not comment on that.
Are they having him on there?
Well, that's the last part of my little thing here. Trump deflected criticism. He predicted that the SNL show will be the highest rated show in a long time. He dismissed the protest as being led by scammers who look around for money and just play around in their computers and look for things to complain about. So yeah, he's going to still be on there.
No,
So that's in the news.
I'm not very fond of it. Show. Do you?
So,
You watch that?
I don't
you know, I was very fond of the show as a child, and I did watch Saturday Night Live quite a bit. Back in the day when it was Chris Farley and Mike Myers,
Right.
Dana Carvey,
I used to like
Totally different.
Chris Rock,
It's just gotten.
I used to
Will
like
Ferrell. I mean, I think there have been some amazing comedians that have come through
John
Saturday Night Live.
Candy.
You know, it's funny. It's almost like it's if you don't have a political figure in the SNL, it's not like nowadays that's what they're having.
But they've always had.
Excellent.
I think they do a good balance of political figures versus.
So they had
But
Clinton.
I would like to see more of. Okay, let's talk about the issues. Kind of like let's bring them out to the air, put them in the spot.
On Saturday Night Live,
Yeah.
but that's not really their goal.
Yeah, they
Their goal is to make
they can
people
make
laugh.
them funny. Yeah, they make them funny. So make a funny scenario of what
I don't know. I like Saturday Night Live. I think and I like Comedy Central.
I didn't watch it when Hillary was on there. I saw things in the news. They showed some replays.
I'll tell you that for sure. I did see that episode. She was funny. I'll
You
have
know?
to admit that she was funny.
It was always funny when they had Bill Clinton on back in the day. So I think it's good too for politicians to put themselves in these shows and go on Jimmy Fallon or when Jon Stewart's Daily Show.
Yeah, I've seen her Jimmy Fallon. He's funny.
Speaking of Hillary, did you watch any of the
Yes.
Benghazi hearings?
Yes, I did.
I just happen to have a statement about that.
Oh, you did your research today,
Yeah,
George.
George,
I am
I'm
so
quite
impressed.
impressed.
If anyone can actually see, I swear he looks like a.
It's a
reporter.
Rubio. It's a
Yes.
Rubio. Rubio said of Clinton, she lied about Benghazi, and this is what he was talking about. She admitted under questioning that there was an email that she sent to Chelsea saying that it wasn't that it was a terrorist attack and not a film. And she also sent an email to the ambassador of Egypt stating the same thing. That this was a few hours after the Benghazi attack, and that she told the ambassador that it wasn't that this was a terrorist attack and not an attack, not because of the film, the video. But she went on national television, her and President Obama, and they stated unequivocally that the attack was because of the video that had been released, and that the guy should be arrested for releasing that video. And the guy was eventually arrested. She lied to the American public. Why would we elect a president, no matter who it is, that blatantly lies to the American public like that in front of millions of people?
Well, come on, George. Honestly, it's called politics. Okay, lying. So what happens is that they stretch the truth. How do they stretch it? By the way people perceive that statement to be made, by misunderstanding. Those are all the titles behind a lie that they all use.
I think this helps Hillary. I think this is giving her attention when people start getting down into the minutia of the facts. I think it just it makes her, gives her more attention and makes her look better. I don't know that this is having the desired effect. I mean, you're right. There's obviously some line, and I think the Republicans are angry about it. But at some point, where is this going to go? I don't know.
When it goes down to the actual facts, and that's happening with the base. It's just a slap in the hand they get, and it's not necessarily. It's like, it's just an interpretation of how. I mean, because look how she was being drilled by this gentleman. What was his name? He's a Republican. I can't think of his name right off the bat, but he was just telling her, look at your emails. You blatantly say that you knew of this specific situation.
But she didn't think the emails would ever come out. That's the thing. They have come out, and she has some explaining.
But what do you think?
And then from there, what?
Yeah. So what are the consequences? Is she going to be prosecuted for this? Should she serve time? I mean,
well, no, not of lying to the public, but that's a thing of.
It shows poor judgment.
Yeah,
it shows poor judgment, but
the emails themselves might lead up to something else because the FBI is investigating that.
I mean, so if that leads to something, then maybe it'll have repercussions for Hillary. But other than that, I don't think this is going to have any sort of lingering effect.
No, she went through 11 hours of grilling, and all she did was lose her voice. So she didn't lose her.
Right.
But people. I mean, I heard a lot of people saying that she really held her own.
And there's points, and there's ratings, and it's all about character. Defaming her character, what have you. But it's just points that they're giving her. So anyhow, guys, we're gonna have to take a quick break. This is the Chips and Salsa Show. We love you all, and stay tuned.
We'll be right back. What do you want to talk about that?
The Dia de los Muertos?
Yes.
That's next weekend, right?
Yeah.
I won't be here next weekend.
Wow.
It's Halloween.
Go on trick or treat.
No, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna pray.
Pray on some trees.
Since you'll be talking about Dia de los Muertos.
Are you doing anything for Halloween?
We'll be here.
We'll be here.
Really?
I work.
You're working next Saturday?
Yeah. Work next Saturday.
Madre mía.
I'm ready for Dia de los Muertos.
George really came prepared today.
Wow, look at that. That is so hilarious. It's raised in the eyeballs.
That's your costume?
For today. I forgot
for
my
next
cell
week?
phone because of this.
It's
So
brain
I'm
and his eyeballs are
You
hanging
forgot
out.
yourself something because of your brain?
He actually looks like
George,
that.
do you need to do a shout out for the sponsors or no?
Yeah. Do I find it here?
No, I think
Okay.
that's November 1st, right?
Yeah, first.
Okay, yeah,
Sunday.
You ready to go?
Not yet.
We'll do it. Open it and then.
I'll let you. I'll put it on time.
So what?
To open it?
You want me to-
We're ready?
No, not yet.
Your take on Los Dia de los Muertos.
George really came prepared today. Is that your costume?
Oh wow. So
We have 1 minute.
okay, in 1 minute you can actually squeeze quite a bit of information in 1 minute. So guys,
We have a minute?
Before it goes back on.
all I want to say is that you look fabulous, George.
George, do you need
I knew you were all brains.
Yeah. Except for tonight.
Right?
Yeah.
I just knew it.
Ready? All right.
No.
I can see you. My eyes are bulging.
They are bulging, yeah, that's true.
30 seconds.
Oh, you want me to
Is
bring it
the music going?
Not the
There's nothing on there.
Oh,
Julian did it, not me.
there's nothing going.
No.
So,
He set it all up to
so what are
go.
we waiting for? What's like? Is it just dead time?
Yeah.
Really? So what are we waiting for? Just
Just for the time that we're supposed to start. 10 seconds.
Okay.
There's supposed to be commercials. But there's nothing.
Oh my gosh.
Were you supposed to push a button?
5, 4,
All right. Welcome back to the Chips and Salsa show. This is the Brainiac, Jorge El Alacran. My brain has just popped open. I've been talking too much, so we're going to talk about Dia de los Muertos. But first, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors. One Truth, they're one of our sponsors, and they're a progressive rock group, and they you can listen to them on iTunes and Facebook and download some of their music. It's called One Truth with JC Gonzalez. The other sponsor that we have is VetAds. They're responsible for our all our signage that we have. They hire veterans, and they've been our sponsor for almost a year now, and we want to do a shout out for them. And they have Veterans Magazine that's out of a lot of the newsstands and stuff. So if you see a Veterans Magazine, pick it up. It's free. Now I wanted to say something about Dia de los Muertos, since I have my Dia de
Well,
los
Georgia,
Muertos.
as we can see right now, Georgia's pretty prepared already for Dia de los Muertos, right, Augie?
yeah,
It's
all
great.
brains and nice.
What did they call it, Dia de los Muertos?
All brains, no bronze. I mean, sorry, George. What do you call it?
The Day of the
Because
Dead?
The Day of the Dead here.
Yeah, but why is it
Halloween
called?
is kind of more of the
Muertos means
traditional.
dead, yeah. So,
It's so hard to take you seriously, George, with your piercing eyeballs right at me.
It's a day where you honor those who have passed away.
but why do they call it Dia de los Muertos instead of just Halloween? Is it Halloween? Is it on Halloween?
No, it's actually the day after Halloween.
Or the day after Halloween?
So November 1st is Dia de los Muertos.
Don't they have like a procession and everything that they do this some places?
It all depends where they're celebrating it as. You know, I mean, I think what happened here is in America that became more of a culture trend and more of a marketing, way. But it derives from that. Dia de los Muertos, but as a holiday, it was more of a uniform day on the 31st, but it's celebrated on the 1st of November, and it's to honor, the dead. That we as Latinos and the Hispanic culture sees life as kind of like two double-sided coin, which is stated on one of these newspapers here. But in general, it's celebrated to celebrate the life of our loved ones, and to make sure that they passed on to better, we would say better pastures. And it's pretty it's culturalized in Mexico quite a bit. So I've seen a lot of the decorative what do you call it, the skeleton heads and the faces and the makeup, and that's kind of what I've seen. Not as much as the gory side that American Hollywood portrays.
So it's
Halloween
more of a
it's totally different.
They actually pray for the dead, or
well, just
like a tradition.
Just the tradition goes that you're praying for that family member to reach, like one's body is, and is gone, but their soul remains, and in that stage of purgatory, right? And so basically, by prayer, you're praying to your family members who passed on from that stage onto heaven, and that's really
because we
the
never
gist of it.
in Puerto Rico, we never, or as a Puerto Rican society,
You never.
we never did Dia de los Muertos. I found out about that here in Arizona because I started meeting a lot of Spanish and Mexicans and stuff, and they started talking about Dia de los Muertos, and it's like, okay, that's new to me.
Yeah, it's different. I think it's more of a culture trend. And, not all Latin community groups celebrate it, and because it's more of a it's now in the it's been in the United States more of a cultural marketing.
Well, where do they celebrate Dia de los Muertos? Do they celebrate it at
They're
a church or?
So actually, tomorrow there is a Dia de los Muertos Phoenix Festival, which is going to be at Indian Steel School Park over on 3rd Street and Indian School.
They're gonna have like the dancing and.
They will have dancing. They're gonna have a group called Cambalache. It's coming from California.
Oh wow!
It's little nesting ground, and they're gonna also be selling sugar skull masks. And this is a fundraiser, and that goes towards scholarships for students at Carl Hayden Community High School. So if you want to get a sugar skull mask, you can get a small one for $5 or a large one for $10. And that is tomorrow, Sunday from 1 until 6 p.m. at Indian Steel School Park.
Do those things last? The sugar skull mask?
I believe that they're edible. Oh, that's like a candy. I don't know if it's a candy skull, but I think that a lot of it is the trend on painting the faces. You know, it's just more of the difference between where about you're at in life, and kind of like from death to light, and a device from something like that. So, I'm not sure if this is our last segment.
Yeah.
And so there'll be all kinds of celebrations throughout the next week.
I guess, and then listen to Revving Up the Revs. It comes right after our program, and
actually, I don't think they're.
We'll be back.
Sorry. We just want to. I want to make a point here. I'm looking at today's agenda, and I'm seeing it's a man's world tonight because Alice is gone. I was about to say, I see it here, and sorry I was a little bit late starting off today, but thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing us to be at your.
Well, we didn't know if we were going to have you, Boots. We know that you've been working so hard at your new job that we thought it may have just been a man's world.
We thought maybe the guys would be.
Nope, but I'm here.
We were happy you could join us.
Oh yeah, we added your name.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for having us here at the Chips and Salsa show. We look forward to having you guys next week on our Saturday show with Augie, myself, George, and Alice. Have a great day, guys. Hasta luego.
Okay. Hasta luego.
Are you on next? Oh, okay. But no,
I'm the Rev.
You're the Rev, okay. All right. We should have given you a minute.
Reverendless
Are you
Rev.
going to do his as well?
I wasn't told I was supposed to do his.
Where is
You gonna call?
I sent him a message.
You weren't supposed to be on tonight?
He didn't tell me about doing anybody else's show
Oh,
tonight.
okay. Well, if they're not going to be on, I
Well, I sent him a message, but he hasn't
You're
right.
will. Okay. Well, not very good, actually. I was in the hospital a couple weeks ago.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. And they still haven't figured out whether it was the heart or the lungs that
What am I doing?
caused the problem.
Zero. Buddies.
Georgie, Porgy, Pudding Pie, Kiss the Girls, and Made and Cries. Now, what, Georgie?
Yeah, you like that mask, huh?
Yeah.
You didn't see when I put it on, but when you turned
No, I
around,
don't.
had
You're
it
right.
on.
It's going to shut me. Alright, here's all your stuff, George.
You're on?
Yeah, you know,
Yeah. All right. Hanging in there. Azra, we had Bill Mason on last.
Yeah.
That was
I was at the
I tried to get as much as I could.
Okay.
Well, I think it went well.
Yeah, that's what we talked about last week.
You gotta. That helps out to be a little prepared as to what you're
Well, I wanted to have as much
Valid issues.
information so in case it got boring.